Okay, we've got some setup for the first two questions. We have seen this before in the previous module. This is the new information here. We have three bond classes, A, B, and C. Face value of 250, interest rate MRR plus 1%, maturity of 1 year. Tranche B notes, 100 million, MRR plus 2%, maturity of 2 years. Tranche C is face value of 100 million, MRR plus 3%, maturity 3 years. And then you have D, 50 million, interest rate MRR plus 4 years, MRR plus 4%, maturity of 4 years, total of 500 million. Compare the credit rating of the Class A bonds issued by the SPE and the uncollateralized bonds issued directly by AR&C. The Class A bonds are most likely rated. The Class A bonds have specific collateral backing them versus the uncollateralized bonds. The Class A bonds are most likely rated higher than the AR&C bonds. Select which of the following statements related to the collateralized bonds issued directly by the SPE is most accurate. The senior subordinate structure is an example of time tranching. No, it is an example of credit tranching. Losses are realized by the subordinated bond classes before any losses are realized by the Class A bonds. That is a true statement. In a waterfall structure such as this one, losses are shared proportionally across all subordinated bond classes. No, they are not. So B. Okay, we've got some questions set up here and our question down here. Let's just read that. The loan-to-value ratio is closest to. So we don't have to spend a lot of time reading this. Desired loan amount, 525. Property price, 750. We can calculate it directly. 0.7. C. The debt-to-income ratio is closest to. So let's see what we have. Monthly payment, there it is. That is our numerator. That's the debt. Borrower's annual pre-tax gross income, 210. We want monthly, so we'll divide it by 12. Monthly over monthly, right? Monthly payment. Or you can multiply this by 12. You'll get the same answer. 0.1604, 16.1%. For a CMO that includes planned amortization class tranches, if the prepayment rate is within the anticipated range, which of the following tranches most likely protects investors from prepayment risk? Remember, all the extra principal goes to the support tranche. Which of the following approaches redistributes prepayment risk? That would be time tranching. Excess spread and over-collateralization are internal credit enhancements. Okay, the weighted average maturity for this security is closest to. We have 5 mortgages. We have our current balances here, and we have the amount outstanding. We have the original term and the months to maturity. So we need this column and this column. And the first weighting is 83 over 1496 multiplied by 140. To give you 7.767, and you'll just weight each one. You're basically multiplying the months to maturity by the weighting. This is 193 over 1496, and next is 315 over 1496, then 357, then 548. You'll get to 236.12. Just a lot of tedious pounding away at your calculator there. 236 months. Which of the following adverse consequences is most likely associated with extension risk? Investors must reinvest the proceeds at lower rates. That would be contraction risk, not extension. Get rid of that. Higher interest rates reduce the value of the cash flows investors receive. Well, that is true. If you have extension risk, that means interest rates have gone up. And if interest rates have gone up, remember the duration of the bond increases because prepayments slow down, makes it more sensitive to changes in interest rates, so the price would drop. The prepayment option reduces the potential price appreciation for the bond. This wouldn't affect us here because there's your straight bond. Here is your MBS. Interest rates have risen. Only when interest rates fall does it affect the price appreciation. If interest rates are rising, because that's what you get with extension risk, rising interest rates creates extension risk, you would not have C. You're left with B. Okay, we have a couple of tables for setup for the next few questions. We have the underlying collateral and the bonds that are issued. We see that we have 4 tranches of bonds, 2, 3, 4, and 5%. The principal values over here. The sum of these principal values has to equal the sum of the mortgaged amount, obviously, right? We have 3 mortgages here, coupon rate of 4, 3, and 5%. The associated loan to value ratio is closest to. So these are the 3 loans in the pool. This was the value of the properties backing each of the loans, 83 over 110, 0.7545. Okay, this question is sort of misleading. Weighted average coupon payment is closest to. And we saw in the module that we calculate the weighted average coupon by looking at the value of each mortgage versus the pool of mortgages multiplied by the coupon rate that it's paying. And there are 3 mortgages in the pool. You get 3.614. And when I did that, I got it wrong. It was using the tranches to calculate the weighted average coupon to get to 3.469, which it wanted 8. So I scratched my head for a while. I said, that's odd. Did I read it wrong in the reading? I went back and I say, no, my understanding is correct. The weighted average coupon is the coupon that the collateral pays. So I guess what they're trying to make a distinction here, weighted average coupon payment, I guess, versus weighted average coupon rate, because when you get to the next question, it asks for the average coupon rate. Now, that is not a distinction made in the reading, so I find the question rather misleading. So if you calculated 3.614 and you got it wrong, yeah, I did it too. That was my understanding because, you know, this is using the actual bonds themselves. So here we are, the weighted average proceeds from the mortgages is closest to, and this is known as the WAC, the weighted average coupon. You see how misleading that is? So there it is. Which of the following would most likely increase balloon risk for a commercial mortgage loan that is maturing? A high debt service coverage ratio. Well, no, that's good, right? The higher the coverage ratio, the better. So we can get rid of that. A low loan to value ratio. No, that is good too. So we can get rid of that. A lack of property buyers in the market. There you go. Which of the following provides call protection for CMBS investors at the structural level? The key here is structural level. In other words, the structure of the CMBS. And that would be in the tranches. That is part of the structure of what the CMBS offers. Prepayment lockout is a form of call protection, but is at the loan level. And defeasance is also a form of call protection, but that is in the event of a prepayment. It is not part of the structure of the CMBS. So we are looking for C.